I want you to look out your window just for a second. See the sky, maybe some trees, pavement, clouds. It's all just, well, it's physics, right? Geology, atmosphere.
The world as we know it.
But imagine if you looked out that same window and saw a physical object, a mountain or a river, that defied every single law of physics you know.
Okay.
And everyone around you pointed to it and said, that is God.
Oh, wow.
Not a metaphor, not a feeling,
Yeah.
but a hard, verifiable fact.
It changes the entire texture of reality, doesn't it? We aren't talking about faith anymore.
Not at all.
Faith requires doubt. It requires a leap. What we are talking about today is a world of absolute, crushing certainty.
Exactly. And that's where we're going. We are diving into a story where theology and geology are basically the same subject. This is the world of Vanishing Point.
A Doctor Who adventure with the 8th Doctor, Fitz and Anji.
And the first thing that hits you about this planet, the thing you can't ignore, is the water mountains.
It's such a visceral image to start with. You have these massive spires of black rock, just jagged things jutting right out of the ocean.
But the water,
Right, the water isn't flowing down them, the ocean is flowing up.
it's unbelievable.
It climbs these spires, completely defying gravity, and it culminates in a peak where the water just vanishes.
And the people of this world, they don't see a scientific anomaly. They don't see something to be studied.
No, they see the Creator's home. They believe the Creator lives right there, at the top of that impossible flow of water.
Which sounds majestic on paper, but think about the psychological weight of that.
For sure.
If God is your literal neighbor, if you can point a telescope at the deity, you are never, ever alone.
You are constantly being watched.
It's not comforting, it's a panopticon. It's total surveillance.
And that surveillance extends to the most private moment of human existence, death.
Right. In most societies, death is the great unknown.
What?
It's the undiscovered country, as Shakespeare put it.
Yeah.
But here, death is a transit system. The central dogma of this society is that death always has meaning.
That's the hook that really got me. The idea is that the moment you die, you get this flash of blissful understanding.
Like a cosmic download.
Exactly. The Creator reveals the grand design to you in that final second. You understand that you got hit by a bus at age 35 because, I don't know.
It taught a lesson to a bystander who would then go on to cure cancer or something.
Right. It's a closed loop of logic. Every tragedy is justified. Every loss is actually a gain in the grand ledger of the cosmos.
Perfect. Too perfect.
But, and here is the rub, sometimes people die in messy, stupid, seemingly pointless ways.
Like in a terrorist attack. Or just tripping over their own feet.
Exactly. And that is where the system needs enforcement. Enter the diviners.
These guys, they are fascinating. You described them perfectly before, like a mix of a Catholic priest and a hard-boiled noir detective.
That's a great comparison. Their job is to investigate a death, not necessarily to find the killer, but to find the motive of God. They have to write a report that says, here is why this tragedy was necessary.
They're bureaucrats of the soul.
They are. They're smoothing over the cracks in reality to keep the population from panicking.
But the cracks are getting too big to spackle over. We learn pretty quickly that there's an alien evil stalking this world.
And it's been there for centuries, completely unnoticed by this so-called all-knowing Creator.
Which is the first major red flag, right?
Right.
And there's a prophecy, the vanishing point.
It sounds like a mathematical limit, doesn't it? The vanishing point?
It does.
The prophecy says that eventually all life will meet all death. It's this asymptote where existence just stops.
And into this rigid, terrified, crumbling society.
Crashes the TARDIS.
And they really do crash. It is not a graceful landing. You have the Doctor, who is immediately in his element. He sees the gravity-defying water and instantly wants to poke it with his stick.
Of course he does.
You have Anji Kapoor, who is the voice of reason and is immediately horrified by the entire theocracy.
As you would be.
And then you have Fitz.
Who Fitz? The universe really has it out for him in this story. He's such a great character for that.
He's the punching bag of the 8th Doctor adventures, isn't he?
Mm.
But his role here is crucial because he gets separated from the group almost immediately.
He falls down a cliff, twists his ankle, and is suddenly all alone in the wilderness.
And this separation is so important for the story's structure.
It is. The Doctor gets to interact with the high-level mystery, the theological stuff, but Fix gets thrown right into the dirt. He sees the underbelly of this world.
He's the man on the ground.
He's limping around this rocky, hostile landscape, and he encounters the foot soldiers of the villain before anyone else even knows they exist.
Let's talk about that encounter because it's so unsettling. He runs into a group of men, But they aren't.
Right. No, they're described as scarecrow men or numbers. They move in unison. They speak in this really stilted sing-song cadence.
It's the uncanny valley effect, personified.
It is. They look human, but the lights are on and nobody's home.
And they make a mistake that tells us everything we need to know about them. They see Fitz, who is, wearing a leather jacket, and they mistake him for one of their own.
They call him Seven.
Right, 7, because one of their group, number 7, went missing.
And Fitz is roughly the same height, wearing a coat. To a normal person, Fitz obviously isn't 7. He's confused, he's injured.
It's from the 1960s.
But these men, they can't process contradictory data. Their programming says man in coat equals 7.
It's like interacting with a glitched NPC in a video game.
Exactly. They're following a script that doesn't account for any variables.
So while Fitz is having this completely surreal identity crisis, the Doctor and Anji are getting their own crash course in the local hardships. They meet Eddie on Grace, or Eddie.
Eddie is the emotional anchor of this whole story, I think. She's a woman living on the absolute edge of the world.
A desolate farm.
With her son, Braga. And when we first see her, she's out in a storm, gathering weeds just to have something to eat. She represents all the people who have been left behind by this so-called perfect society.
And she's tough. You can feel the grit on her. But she is absolutely terrified when those scarecrow men show up at her farm. They aren't just confused wanderers, they're press gangers. They want to take her.
And this is a standout scene for the Doctor. He and Anji just stumble upon this abduction in progress.
You have these large, menacing, drone-like men threatening a mother and her child.
And the Doctor doesn't fight them. He doesn't pull out a sonic screwdriver or some other gadget. He assumes authority.
This was one of my favorite Doctor moves. He walks right up to the leader, this big bald man, touches his throat and says, "Go back to wherever you came from. You failed."
He speaks to them like a disappointed manager giving a performance review.
And it works.
It works. They just turn around and leave. It reinforces that idea of programming. The Doctor injects a new command into their loop, abort mission, and they have no choice but to obey it.
It's our first big clue that the evil here isn't supernatural. It's daimonic.
It's technological. It's systematic.
Yeah. Which brings us to the guy who is trying to make sense of the system from the inside, Nathaniel Dark.
I find Dark to be such a tragic figure. He's a diviner. He's supposed to be the guy with all the answers.
Right.
But when we meet him, he's just sitting in his office, staring at these files of dead people, and he is completely empty.
He's burnt out. For good reason. There's been a wave of terrorist bombings in the city.
People are being blown up on buses and cafes, just senseless slaughter.
And his job requires him to look at a charred body and say, this is part of God's beautiful and mysterious plan.
Imagine the cognitive dissonance. You were forced to lie to grieving families day in and day out.
It must be soul-crushing.
He knows there's no meaning in a bomb going off in a crowded market. It's just chaos. But his entire worldview, his entire society is built on the absolute denial of chaos.
There's a scene at a bus stop that really highlights this perfectly. He meets a woman named Lana, just a regular citizen.
And she just starts picking apart his platitudes. She's heard it all before.
She calls them old favorites.
Right, the standard lines that diviners use. He was needed elsewhere. His work was done. She looks at Dark and basically says, you guys are just making this up as you go along, aren't you?
And that's the crack in the dam for him. Dark can't take it anymore. He decides to do something he's never done before.
Actually investigate.
Yeah. He pulls a cold case, the Grace family file.
And this connects him right back to Eddie. Eddie had a sister, Trina Sherratt. A year ago, Trina was killed in a bank robbery. The official report, the divine verdict, was that she died a hero, wrestling a gun away from a robber to save a bystander.
A perfect, meaningful death.
Really?
Neat and tidy.
A poster child for the system. But the holiest, the religious elite, told Dark to bury that file.
Which, of course, is exactly why he opens it. He drives out to Eddie's farm to find the truth. And who does he run into?
The Doctor and Anji.
And this is where the story shifts gears, I think, into a theological detective drama.
It really does. You have Dark, who represents the absolute. He wants to believe there is a plan, a design.
And you have the Doctor, who is the agent of why.
I love their dynamic. The Doctor doesn't mock Dark's faith. Not really. But he absolutely dismantles the bureaucracy around it.
He does.
He basically forces Dark to admit that he's investigating because he doubts, not because he believes.
It's the buddy cop dynamic, but instead of chasing a drug dealer, they are chasing the concept of existential dread itself.
And the Doctor points out, if the creator is real and all-powerful, he doesn't need Nathaniel Dark to make excuses for him.
That's a powerful point.
The very fact that the diviners exist proves that the system is broken.
And their investigation leads them directly to the big taboo, the forbidden knowledge. We keep hearing this term whispered everywhere, Category G.
This is the centerpiece of the mystery, isn't it? In this society, there are crimes, and then there is Category G.
It's the ultimate heresy, worse than murder, worse than treason.
People are too terrified to even speak the full name.
The Doctor, being the Doctor, figures it out pretty quickly. But I want to slow down and really look at this reveal because it's just so clever.
It is.
He asks Dark what the G stands for. And Dark is sweating, he's terrified. And finally the Doctor puts it together. GATC.
Guanine, adenine, thymine, cytosine.
The 4 nucleobases of DNA.
Exactly. Category G is genetics.
The study of biological life. The understanding of how we are actually built.
But here's the irony, and it is a massive, crushing irony.
It's huge.
What is the symbol of the diviners? What is painted on the side of their temples? What is embroidered on all their robes?
A double helix.
They are worshiping the shape of DNA.
It's a profound commentary on how dogmas form.
It really is. At some point in their history, they must have taken a scientific truth, the building blocks of life, and turned the image into an idol, while making the understanding of it a mortal sin.
They worship the symbol of life, but forbid the knowledge of how life actually works.
It's like a cargo cult. Or like worshiping a library, but making reading punishable by death.
That's a perfect analogy. It ensures that the holiest remain the only ones with power, because they are the only ones who know the big secret is just biology.
It creates a society that is fundamentally totally ignorant of itself. They don't know what they are. They think they are these divine vessels, but they're just organisms.
And by banning genetics, they've banned medicine, they've banned self-knowledge, everything.
So the Doctor and Dark, they track this heresy to the slums, a place called Body Street. They find a tenement room that's been blown apart.
And inside, it's not a bomb factory for the terrorist, which is what they were expecting.
No, it's a lab. A high-tech, forbidden laboratory. And in the closet, hidden under a pile of blankets,
They find a skeleton.
this part gave me chills. A skeleton in the closet, literally. But it's the details.
Yes.
The skeleton is missing a finger, and on the hand is a ring with that double helix symbol.
Dark recognizes the ring immediately.
It belonged to one of the holiest, a high priest who disappeared years ago. This is the moment Nathaniel Dark's world truly shatters.
Because it implies that the religious leaders aren't just forbidding this science.
They are involved in it, or they are being murdered by it. The call is coming from inside the house.
While Dark is having his entire world dismantled, let's check back in on Fitz. Because if Dark is having a bad day, Fitz is having an absolute nightmare.
We have to talk about the Wiper.
Oh, the Wiper.
Fitz gets captured by those scarecrow men, the numbers. They drag him to this facility, and they strap him into this machine.
The description of this machine is so visceral, it's not some sleek, clean sci-fi device.
No, it's industrial, it's grimy, it smells like ozone and burnt hair.
The Wiper is designed to erase identity. It uses directed electricity to literally scour specific parts of the brain.
It wipes out memory, personality, the self, and leaves a blank slate that can then be programmed with simple commands.
This is where the Scarecrow men come from.
Yeah.
They are people who have been hollowed out.
And we see a woman go through it first. She goes in screaming, and she comes out just blank.
Fitz calls her a punch-drunk goldfish.
She's just gone. And then they strap.
Fits in. This is a scene of genuine horror. Fitz is our everyman. He's not a Time Lord. He doesn't have a psychic shield or anything like that.
He's just a guy from the 1960s. He's terrified. He feels the current hit him. He feels his memories starting to fray at the edges.
But he survives. He doesn't get wiped. Why?
Well, there are two layers to this, I think. One, the machine is calibrated for the local human biology, and Fitz is technically an alien here, so it's not perfectly effective.
Right.
But the darker implication, which Fitz himself jokes about, is that his brain has been messed with so many times by the TARDIS, by telepathic aliens, these time paradoxes.
That the Wiper just can't find a grip.
Exactly. He's already too scattered to be erased properly.
That is both hilarious and incredibly sad at the same time.
It is. But he uses it. He fakes it. He goes limp. He does the zombie stare.
It's his only play.
Yeah.
He has to act like a hollow shell to get them to unstrap him from the chair.
He shuffles along with the other numbers, just waiting for his moment. And when he breaks hard. He grabs a revolver, shoots his way out, and just runs into the wilderness.
He makes it back to Eddie's farm, bleeding, shot in the leg. And this brings us to the big secret Eddie has been keeping. Because while Fitz was getting tortured, Angie was exploring the farm. And she found the barn.
This is the heart of the perfection versus humanity theme in the story. Eddie isn't just a struggling farmer. She is running a sanctuary.
Inside that barn, she is hiding a group of people known as mooncalves.
Mooncalf! It's such an old, cruel word. Shakespeare used it. It means a fool or a monster or someone born under a bad moon.
In this society, where the creator demands physical perfection, anyone born with a disability, physical or mental, is considered a Category G error.
A mistake in the design.
And since the creator doesn't make mistakes, these people are considered abominations. The law says they must be excised.
Killed. Disposed of.
So Eddie is hiding them. Vettel, Douglas, Myra, people with deformities, people with learning disabilities. She keeps them locked in the barn to keep them alive.
But it's complex, isn't it? She's their savior, but she's also their jailer.
Completely. She keeps them locked up. She yells at them to stay hidden from view.
There's a character, Vettel, who has a physical deformity. One leg is massive compared to the other. But Vettel is sharp. She's incredibly intuitive.
She actually saved Angie and the doctor from a landslide earlier in the story, secretly.
Yeah, she did. Vettel is fascinating because the society calls her a monster, but she shows more insight and humanity than the diviners do.
Yet Eddie treats her like a dangerous secret. Don't let the neighbors see you.
It shows the corrupting power of this theocracy. Even a good, compassionate person like Eddie is forced to treat human beings like livestock just to keep them breathing. It warps every single relationship.
Okay, so we have the pieces on the board now. The forbidden genetics.
Yeah.
The brainwashing machine. The hidden outcasts. Let's go back to the Doctor and Dark. They returned to the diviner's mission to look at the evidence that started this whole thing. The videotape of Trina Sherratt's death.
Dark has watched this tape 100 times. For him, it's the holy scripture of his sister-in-law's heroism. She wrestles the gunman. She dies a hero. The end.
But the Doctor does the classic TV detective, zoom and enhance. He looks at the reflection in the bank window.
And he completely changes the context. He points out that Trina isn't grimacing in fear on the tape.
Oh.
She's focusing. She's smiling a cold, hard smile. And she isn't wrestling the gun away from the robber to save the man next to her.
She is wrestling the gun to aim it at the man next to her.
She was trying to kill the hostage.
Exactly.
And when they clean up the image of the hostage, it's Darren Sherratt, her husband.
The missing husband. The man whose records have been excised. The father of Eddie's son, Braga.
This is the twist that ties the entire family drama to the global conspiracy. Darren Sherratt wasn't a random victim in a robbery.
No, he's a scientist. He is the man behind the Category G research.
And Trina, his wife, either found out what he was doing, or maybe she was sent to stop him, and she tried to execute him right there in the bank.
So the heroic death, that was the foundation of the case.
Was actually a failed domestic assassination.
Which Nathaniel Dark had spent a year mythologizing. It just destroys the last shred of his faith in the design.
Of course it does. The meaning of her death wasn't martyrdom, it was murder. Plain and simple.
And this revelation points them directly to the main villain, the man who's been pulling the strings, the numbers, and the wiper, a man named Kashmar.
Kashmar is such a grotesque antagonist. He's not a mustache-twirling overlord in a black cape.
No, he's pathetic, in a way.
He's a dying man. He's sick. His body is failing him. He's constantly vomiting and needing support from his servant, Hawks.
So why is a dying man brainwashing people and running this huge conspiracy?
He's using the wiper and the genetic experiments to try to cure himself. He's trying to rewrite his own biology to survive.
Desperation.
Pure desperation. But he's also a nihilist. He believes in the vanishing point not as a prophecy to be feared, but as a goal to be achieved.
If you can't live, nobody should. Is that the logic?
That's exactly it. He wants to collapse the society, collapse the faith, and physically destroy the population. He's the ultimate expression of this world's selfishness. The diviners say, my life has meaning.
Kashmar says, if my life has no meaning, then no one's life has meaning.
And he knows that to get what he wants, he needs leverage. He knows Eddie is connected to Darren Sherratt. He knows she's hiding his son.
Because, as we find out, Eddie's son Braga isn't just her son. He's actually Darren Sherratt's son. They had an affair.
The genetics again? The bloodline is key. Koshmar sends his goons, the numbers, back to the farm, and this time it's an all-out assault.
Fitz is injured, but he's trying to fight. Eddie has a shotgun, Anji is throwing rocks, but they lose.
They're just overwhelmed. The numbers grab the boy, Braga, and they take him.
This sets up the endgame. Koshmar calls Eddie on a view screen. Come to the city. Come alone, or boy dies.
It's the convergence. All the plot lines are heading to one place. Eddie has to go. It's her son.
And Anji, being the hero she is, refuses to let her go alone, and so she drives the hover car.
The Doctor and Dark are already in the city, hunting Koshmar from the shadows, trying to piece it all together.
And Fitz
is left behind. And this is a really tense note to leave that part of the plot on. He's shot, he can't walk, and he's at the farm with the mooncalves.
But Eddie, their jailer, is gone.
Right. And Vettel looks at Fitz, this injured stranger, and she says something chilling like, different rules for us now.
That's good.
The power dynamic has completely shifted, the monsters are free, and the only person watching them is a bleeding man from the 1960s who can barely stand.
It's a powder keg waiting to explode.
It is.
I want to step back for a second and look at the bigger picture here. We started this deep dive with a world of absolute certainty, a world where God is a rock you can literally touch. But by the end of this story, that rock has completely crumbled into sand.
It's a total deconstruction of fundamentalism, isn't it? The story asks, what happens when you build an entire society on a fundamental lie?
You can maintain it for a while.
For sure. You can maintain it with police, with diviners, with social pressure, but eventually, reality breaks through.
And the Category G element is so sharp, banning the knowledge of what we are. It's such a perfect metaphor for any regime, religious or secular, that fears education.
It is, because if you understand how a human being is made, genes, DNA, biology, you understand that we are all the same basic material.
Is the great equalizer.
You can't maintain a hierarchy of holiest and mooncalf if everyone knows it's just a roll of the genetic dice. Science is the enemy of their specific kind of order because science is democratic. DNA doesn't care if you're a priest or a peasant.
And Nathaniel Dark represents the pain of waking up from that. He wanted the lie. On some level, he needed the lie to function, but the Doctor forced him to look at the truth, whether he wanted to or not.
And that's the danger of the Doctor, in a way. He arrives, he exposes the truth, but he doesn't necessarily stick around to help rebuild the society.
That's a very good point.
He shatters their vanishing point, this central delusion, but he leaves them in the rubble of their faith.
Which is terrifying in its own way. Freedom from illusion is messy.
Extremely.
So here is the thought I want to leave you with today.
Right.
We all crave certainty. I think we'd all want to know there's a plan, a design, a reason why things happen.
It's human nature.
It is. But this story asks the hard question. What is the price of that certainty?
Yeah.
If you have to lobotomize people, if you have to hide the disabled in barns, if you have to ban the study of your own bodies just to keep your truth safe?
Is it actually the truth?
Or is it just a vanishing point?
Uh-huh.
A delusion that disappears the closer you actually look at it?
Something to think about next time you look out the window.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Catch you in the next timeline.